Earlier this month, we went to a show that was part of Netflix's A Joke comedy festival in LA. The performance included several stand-up comedians, but the main event was Michael Longfellow, who is formerly of SNL.
We went to the show with Scott Dunn, who we've known for several years, and he works with Longfellow. They've developed a new show together called The Void on social media. We sat down with Scott the day after the comedy show to record an episode in person. We talk about how comedy has changed because of social media, whether or not brands are becoming more comfortable with the format and topics, and what is next for his new company, Unicorn.
Unicorn, which raised nearly $1 million in funding and launched less than a year ago, is a new type of talent management firm where it signs 50-50 partnership deals with creators with the goal of building out shows and other IP. It's also the brains behind a new YouTube comedy show called Human Trials with comedian Mark Normand. The show hit 40,000 YouTube subscribers in just 10 days. A month in, the show now has twice as many followers across social platforms and 25 million views across its channels. Let's dive in with Scott. Tell us a little bit about Michael Longfellow, because obviously people know him from SNL, but tell us a little bit about, I know you're working with him, but we were dying laughing.
It was so
He's great,
funny.
right?
Yeah.
You know what struck me also? I've not been not on my phone for so long.
Nobody was on their
No
phones.
one was on their phones.
It's so nice.
He came out, people took some pictures. No one was even checking.
It's so nice.
Although he was jokingly encouraging everybody to take their phones out.
I know.
Which I
Is
love
that
too.
normal at a I don't go to a lot of stand-up comedy shows. Is that normal?
So funny enough, the night before I went to Mark Normand's show, because we work with him too, and they required everyone to put their phone in those pouches. I guess sometimes if it's sensitive and new material, they don't want it leaked. Other times they just want you to be present.
They didn't do that. They didn't have any requirements yesterday.
Exactly. But it was so engaging. And how many experiences do we have where we don't want to look at our friggin' phones? I mean, we're so chronically online. You're right. I hadn't even thought about it. And in comedy, you'll miss the joke.
Yeah. And he's sort of at the beginning too. He's let's get the crowd work out of the way. He sort of was alluding to kind of what we're seeing with the overlap now of stand-up comedy and what we're seeing on social media. But he was clip this, big font, big font. I want to talk to you about that because I know you work with so many comedians. What was it in the old days? You would just do stand-up comedy and hope people would come?
Yeah.
What did it look like to become a comedian? What was the path?
Well, here's the funny thing. The old days are still today.
Yeah, totally.
Basically what they do is they hop around from stage to stage. If you're in New York, even Mark, someone as big as Mark Normand, he does 4 or 5 shows a night, just hopping around the city. And it could be the biggest crowds or it could be a crowd of 15, 20 people. So you're doing stage work. And then now you have a podcast. And once every year or so, you do a special. And all things sort of ladder up to that special. And then it's rinse and repeat. And maybe you'll do some acting here or there, but that's kind of what it's like to be a comedian. So I always think of all right, how do you zag? What's nobody doing? Because, everyone has a podcast. Specials now used to be a little bit more of this, call it a special thing because it required a lot of capital and distribution. Now comedians are putting it on YouTube. So everyone kind of has one. So it feels a little less, I guess rare than it used to be.
Is the North Star still to have a Netflix comedy special or
I think it is.
Yeah.
In order to get that special, at least in the olden days, you needed to be discovered. And I think that's the one really big difference now where before it was just going from stage to stage, like you said, and hoping to be discovered. Is that the case?
Yeah.
And now you have social as a vehicle.
You have distribution now.
Yeah.
The specials and even go to just television and film, right? Sure, they have the ability, the capital to produce and make a thing, but really what entertainers needed was the distribution to reach new audiences. Now on social, it's all in your hands. And even beyond just now, I'm seeing every day a new account, a new show, a new creator, 0 to 1 million in days, just because these algorithms are recognizing content that people want. And if they detect that, they're going to disseminate it. And now suddenly people are just blowing up. You don't need that third-party distribution anymore.
But don't you think that makes it more challenging, though, when you see more and more, comedians turning to social media? It's getting more crowded. How do you break through in all of that?
It's so crowded.
Yeah.
And we can take it back to Longfellow. Because he...
Because he
talks a lot about SNL and the people behind, not to name names, but the people behind SNL to make SNL what it is. They talk about zagging. They wanted to find diamonds in the rough, people who just are visually distinct, comedically distinct. And if you kind of take a step back and look over the years, you're right. An SNL talent is sort of cut from a very similar cloth. So in terms of how I view everything that, the creators we like to sign, the shows we like to launch, you have to visually look different. I just kind of have an obsession over that. I mean, our clients, a corgi in a friggin' backpack, 3 old Jewish men, a dark, long-haired pretty boy in Longfellow. It's the easiest way to separate yourself from an otherwise crowded world that we live in where everything is looking the same and sounding the same. It's such a cheat code to just be like, oh, in a group of 100 people, that one person stands out, so I'm going to pay a little more attention to that person. That's who I like to cling to.
How difficult is it to go from like short form? Because if you think about like when you're scrolling through TikTok, like you just want like the joke, right? Like you don't have the whole lead up. You don't like how hard is it, especially for these comedians who are kind of starting social first, like how hard is it for them to then stand on stage for 30 minutes and
it's
deliver?
A different skill set.
Yeah.
Too.
And obviously they can, it's different because they have to interact with the audience and all this stuff, but like how
also
hard
the
is
endurance.
I've been thrown into the comedy vertical and I'm applying my like creator economy brain to it. So that's why we're doing so many unique things.
What do you mean by thrown by? Like you thrown in, like you just kind of started getting funny clients?
Yeah. Well, okay. Allie Fishbein, shout out Allie, I love you. We hired her as a manager and she had been booking comedy shows in New York City for 5 years.
Okay.
And because her specialty is comedy, she's been able to bring on unbelievable talent. And so we're throwing like the whole creator economy IP playbook at comedy. We could talk about Longfellow and Mark Norman, two great comedians who we're launching shows with. They thought the only way to do this is to go to the studios and the networks and try to get something green lit and then fund it. Through us, we're going from idea to launch in like weeks. So they can't even like wrap their heads around it. But that's the beauty of this industry that we operate in.
So how do you approach it? Everything's around a show format or not necessarily?
Yeah, kind of. We just believe in IP. Yeah. So first off, we very rarely, if ever, have like an idea and it's like, okay, let's go cast it. It's like we just want to meet people who are so unbelievable and then try to find a format or a show that's built for them and like only them. So like The Void, which is a show we have with Longfellow, he's like this floating head oracle. He's like Zordon from Power Rangers. And like, he's just such like an intellectually
visually
weird.
Different. Yeah.
Oh, you think? And like darkness, it's called The Void. We want people to like throw a confession into like the internet void to like live on forever. And we met Michael. He just is so weird in the best ways. And like, you can just talk to him for hours and it's just hilarious. And his perspective is special.
Where are you launching The Void? What platform?
That is a short form format that's sort of built for Instagram and TikTok, which is rare for us because usually we like to tailor things for YouTube. But that one is just, it's short, it's snackable. It's kind of like our Subway takes. And only he could be the face of that show. Like there is no Void without Longfellow.
Talk through some of the success stories you've seen. Like obviously these are new formats, and what have you seen so far in terms of traction for some of these shows?
So we launched a show called Human Trials with Mark Norman pretty much an exact month ago. It went viral in like minutes. So the format is, and this is again me thinking about comedy in a very unconventional way, I'll watch comedians, whether it's 5 minutes or an hour, and I get bored watching them. I just want to see who they're talking to. I want to see like the audience, how they're reacting to things. And when they sometimes in specials show the audience, even for a split second, like I find somebody and I just watch that person respond to the comedy. I think it's fascinating. How do you make something about the audience a little more than the individual comic?
For social.
Built for social, built for YouTube. That's stunty, that's weird, experimental. So we came up with Human Trials, which is basically imagine a comedian walking on stage and not knowing who they're performing in front of. And the audience is made up of one single demographic of people. So literally the pilot was
Is it always the same demographic?
It changes every time.
Okay.
So the pilot was with 50 Gen Z girls. These are like 22-year-old girls. And, you think, how do they respond to comedy? Do they all laugh at the same things? Do they don't? And in between the show, we actually do a Q&A and we ask them, like, what were you offended by? What joke were you okay with?
And this is taking place in person with everyone in the audience. Okay.
And because we're calling it Human Trials, like Mark's in a lab coat, the crew is in hazmat suits. It feels like dystopian in a weird way. And I'm telling you, like, we launched the show. So in about 2 weeks, we eclipsed over 20 million views, like across social. YouTube has over 50,000 subscribers, but the thing went like gangbusters immediately. Honestly, I think it's such a great example of traditional entertainment, YouTube, like colliding. This is what it looks like.
And so at what point did the comedians find out who the demographic is in the room?
5 seconds before.
5 seconds before? So they do know before they go on stage.
Okay, but
I thought there was going to be like a big reveal at some point.
Mark tells them and then opens the door and it's like, oh shit.
So they have to think on their feet.
They do.
Yeah.
Isn't that
What have
crazy?
been some of the you got Gen Z girls. Who else was in the
Okay,
audience?
so Gen Z girls was one. The second, bald men. Just 50 because it's just funny for no reason. So like literally 50 bald men.
How do you source 50 bald men?
Whoever our audience curator is, Booker, like we should give them a raise. And here are the next three. You ready? First off, the list, we have like a list of hundreds. There's no bad idea. Yeah. It's hilarious. So we just shot 50 clowns.
Oh my God.
50
That's my worst
Yeah,
nightmare.
same,
Walking on stage
same.
with 50 clowns.
Isn't it insane?
Oh,
50
God.
old people
Yeah.
and then 50 Japanese businessmen.
Oh my God.
It's crazy.
This is outrageous.
It's nuts.
Okay.
It's nuts.
So to pivot a little bit, how do you think about monetizing these
Yeah.
shows? Because, I mean,
Totally.
obviously last night it was so funny, but a lot of the jokes were very crude. And like you think
and
about
that's comedy, right?
it's
Like,
comedy and it's part of it. But how do you think about bringing brands into that environment, especially when they're so concerned about somebody saying something that might, reflect poorly on them?
It's such a good question. And it's something I've been obsessing over because traditionally, brands aren't like clamoring towards comedy for those reasons. However, comedy is at like the epicenter of our culture. It's so omnipresent on social. Comedians have cult-like communities, the things that every creator, desires for. Like, Mark, he can do anything and people are showing up. But these comedians don't really work with many brands. But I think they're starting to recognize, we have to like step outside our comfort zones ever so slightly, just because they have the ability to move the needle. Now it's on me, especially for a show like Human Trials, which is like, visceral and sometimes salacious, to not turn off brands, but we can't like not be who we are. Yeah. It's a very like tight rope to walk.
What kind of brands are you thinking about partnering with? Do you have like an ideal partner in mind?
It starts with like either brands who are starting to sponsor comedy, like Dr. Squatch, or like brands that are pretty edgy, who kind of don't give an F and are willing to kind of go for it. And I could shout out a few of those.
Are there any kind of partnerships you can point to so far?
No, I mean, the show's so young,
yeah.
but I'm actively beginning like outreach and starting to facilitate those conversations.
Does it help to have like launch it, have the numbers versus like trying to bring a brand on before it launches?
Yes, exactly. And brands are always looking to do more of those. I feel like fundamentally, you need to start in sort of a grassroots capacity, even if it's just weeks. If you launch with a brand, which is a great strategy, like I'd love to be profitable from day one, it starts off in a place that I'm typically not super comfortable with. I just want to make sure it's cool and has cachet and we're making it just to make it. And then once we prove it as fast as possible, okay, now time to monetize. But like, it's a good question because I think about this a lot. There's a lot of shows on social, a lot of great shows, and I have no idea what the business model is. The short form stuff that it may be a little more expensive to make, that's built for Instagram, it's just in service of brands, which is fine, but I'm trying to build businesses. So if it doesn't have 4 or 5, potentially 10 plus revenue streams, like I'm not as interested in making it.
So what other revenue streams are you looking at? Or do you imagine that brand partnerships will be the primary?
It's the lowest hanging fruit. So sponsorships, platform revenue, like tier 1. Tier 2, like how do we go on tour? Like how do we, live stream it, ticketing? Then there's commerce, then there's licensing. Is there paywall for incremental content? Yeah. Exactly. Like it kind of can keep derivatives. Like how do we spin off using this platform?
How much is there overlap with kind of traditionally how, comedians have made money, right? Like tickets is really the main one and it's working with streaming platforms like that.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Are your clients, when you're signing people, are they coming in with a lot of brand relationships or not really?
Very few,
it's difficult.
if ever. And also another point, and you touched on this earlier, this is so hilarious. Like online creators, they're leaning more towards traditional in a lot of ways. Yeah. They're trying to get on stage and tour like a comedian does. And on the other side, these comedians are trying to be more online creator.
Yeah. When did you launch?
Yes.
We launched 11 months ago.
Oh my God.
So it was June 25. So we're not even a year old. And we have 3 main pillars to our company. Our business model is really unique, like kind of one of the few in the industry. And
are you talent management? Like, how do you describe yourself?
I don't know if we're a talent management company with like an IP arm or if we're an IP company with a talent management arm.
Which would you like to be?
IP.
Okay.
But in my experience, and this is like tales old as time in media, right? Like studios are a little afraid to work with talent because eventually talent leaves upon success. So I've experienced that launching a couple really big shows in my career, but it does always lead that way because incentives aren't fully aligned. Every day that passes, both sides are kind of going in opposite directions. So I thought, like, how in our model, how do you earn longevity? You have to ensure incentives are aligned. Well, how do you ensure incentives are aligned? Well, you have to be true partners and grow in the same direction. So if we manage the creator, we're the right-hand person day to day, right? They're in their inner circle. And then as any good manager should, we implore everyone to develop IP. Okay, well, how can they develop IP? Well, under management, you now have exclusive access to our studio where we have a production team and we fund these things and we develop it and operate it. And we cut them in as true partners.
So these are all 50-50?
All 50-50. So when a show blows up, rises the tide for the creator's individual business. Now we're their manager and we're producing the show. So we're going in the same direction. We've earned a lot of trust among both sides. If it's a partnership where it's like, all right, I'm going to pay you to be a talent as a host on the show that we own, it's great. But ultimately, as we've all seen, the show blows up and they're the face of it, but they don't own it.
Yeah.
Okay, there could be some resentment. So that's our model. And kind of one of the first to do it, which is pretty cool.
What's been the feedback from creators? Like, do they feel good about the 50-50? And especially, I think what's important is you're kind of bringing in talent and helping incubate them, right? Like, you're not going to
That's right.
mega, people that have already, blown up,
Kinda made
right?
it.
Yeah.
But we've had more conversations of late from those people who are a little more established.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting because like you can be an incredibly established creator and still be in dire need of the resources that we have, right? The ability to make really great IP. So we're trying to navigate that as like I've been telling a lot of folks, every new creator we sign is bigger than the last one. It just like keeps ticking up and up, which is exciting for us because, less sort of risk. Like it's already a monetizable asset like day one. But we don't want to lose our the ethos.
Well, that's the thing. Like, as you're thinking about scaling, like, is there a cap on clients?
We're building mini studios and mini businesses around a creator. You can't do that for like hundreds of creators. So we have to be hyper selective and believe that they are worth that bet, time and money. And, there's only so many of those we can sign ultimately. As we scale, we can sign a few more creators to then hire a few more content producers to then hire a few more business operators. But even so, I've been a part of explosive IP and it can overtake your company. And it's like a good problem, but like it happens really fast. So I am sensitive to signing too many creators who want to be a part of this and sort of ultimately underperform.
How many do you have now?
30.
30. Oh my God.
I know.
And how big is your team?
Yeah, how big is your team?
5 of us.
What?
I'm exhausted.
Crazy.
Do I look tired? What we do at Unicorn is so much more evolved, respectfully, than what a traditional manager would do. So when I say manager, I'm like, well, I'm a manager, I'm a business builder, I'm a content producer. Like, what is that? How do you sort of communicate that? But anyway, when it comes to creators we sign, I say this to everyone when we sign them. I'll say it to the world right now. Like, we're not your assistants. Like, we are partners. Like, I need you to do what you're here to do, and we'll do what we need to do, and that's how this thing will succeed.
Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you here next Thursday.